So I saw a commercial the other day where these two teenagers were sitting on the side of a road, and it was dark at night, and they were talking to their parents about a situation they were having with their car. The car had gotten a flat and they didn't know how to change the tire, so their parents called the insurance company. Their insurance company recommended a maintenance company, and sent a truck to assist the kids in changing their tire. I found it kind of comical, but it's part of life nowadays. There are a lot of people who've never changed a tire and probably wouldn't know the first thing about doing it. So today I am going to go over just a short procedure of changing a tire. I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee, which this was the last model year that the company was going to provide a spare tire. I was fortunate. This was one of the selling points for me because I'd rather change a tire myself. And this is one of the things I believe is a life skill, which once again, it saves time and it saves money for me. I don't have to get a company involved in helping me change a tire because I already know how to do it. Now, before I go into the procedures for changing a tire, I want to stress, always consult your owner's manual for safety procedures and recommendations on how to do this safely. Now, first of all, you have a flat tire. The first thing you want to do is make sure you are parked on a flat and level surface. You don't want the vehicle falling on top of you or rolling downhill and creating more damage. Now we have our tools. You have your car jack. Now this is the one that came with my Jeep Grand Cherokee. It is a jack screw, which you twist it and it elevates. You sit it under the car and it will elevate. It elevates the vehicle with a righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, of course. And then you also have your crowbar. Now my crowbar is a two-piece crowbar. I have the actual main crowbar, which has the lug wrench on the end. And then I have an adapter, which intersects. There's a hole right here. And it intersects into the lug nut part of the crowbar. And the hook on this end hooks into the eyelet. Oh, let me see here. There you go. Eyelet of the jack screw, so you can use it as like a turning tool. So you can crank it while you're turning it instead of hand turning it. So these are your tools, and of course your spare tire. Now once you have your tools, the first thing you want to do, once again, you're parked flat and level. And then you also want to set your parking brake. Setting your parking brake, especially if your parking brake is set for your rear tires, it will not allow your tire to turn while you're taking off the lug nuts. So once you got that, you're going to take your jack and slide it underneath near the tire that is flat. Most cars now have fulcrum points, which you can place the jack and it will point straight to it. This is where you're going to put the jack underneath, and you're going to take, the jack has a notch here, which you're going to line with the frame, bottom frame of your vehicle. So once you get it aligned, slide it under, get it aligned, and you're going to start turning your jack screw, which is going to extend. And you can do it by hand. It's easy by hand at first. But once it becomes flushed with the bottom of the frame, that's when you're going to need your tool and start turning it. And it will become easier, and it makes it a lot easier. So once you start once your vehicle starts jacking up, my rule of thumb, generally I like to jack it up to about 4 inches. And the way I measure that is I take the long end of your credit card and just slide it under the tire once you get it high enough. And that's good enough. You could get your tire off easily that way. Next, you're going to take your crowbar. You're going to take the lug nut wrench end. You're going to put it on the lug nuts and you're going to unscrew them. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to put some oomph into it because those lug nuts are torqued down pretty tight. But a couple kicks, yelling at it a little bit, you'll be able to get it off. So once you get the 4, 5, or 6 lug nuts off of your mount, you're going to take your tire, and what I do also, kind of wiggle it a little bit, move it off, but you have to watch to make sure you do not damage any of the threads on the bolts. So be careful, you slide off your tire, set it to the side, then you're going to grab your spare tire, and you're going to make sure it's aligned right, and slide that on. Once again, you're looking out for those threads, you're not damaging any threads. Once you have it on, you're going to take your lug nuts and hand tighten them on. And what I like to do too is wiggle the tire just a little bit while you're tightening down so it's flushed against the backside of your vehicle. Once you have that done, you're going to take your crowbar, start tightening them lug nuts down. And what I do, you're supposed to use a specific pattern. If you have even number bolts on your mount, then you do opposites. So if you tighten this one down, you tighten this one down. Tighten this one down, tighten this one down. And what I like to generally do is go back and forth maybe 3 or 4 times to make sure it's all nice and good and tight. Now if you have 5 bolts on your mount, I use the star pattern. So if you start down here, make a star. Just do that maybe 3 or 4 times and you'll get everything tightened down. Now that you've gotten it tightened down, you look underneath your tires. Look underneath your vehicle, your tires, and make sure you have nothing underneath, because it would be a tragedy. Say if you used your credit card to judge the distance and you drop your vehicle, yeah, I'd be upset too. So once you cleared the area, you're going to take your jack, your crowbar, and your jack pieces, connect them down, and you're going to start cranking them down, and your jack will slowly start coming down once again, and your vehicle will come down. So, and then it gets to a point where you will not need the tool, and you can do it by hand. Once you have it all the way cranked all the way down, just once again survey the area, make sure nothing got stuck underneath your vehicle, and that is basically it. Slide your jack off from underneath your vehicle, and that is it. Now, depending on the type of spare you have, there's a couple recommendations. For me, I have a full-size spare, but I still do not feel safe driving with it. So what I do, within the next day or two, I take the original tire in and get a new tire, get my tires balanced. But if you have one of those vehicles that come with a donut, it's the smaller spare, once again, consult your owner's manual, and your owner's manual should tell you how many miles you can drive on that spare tire. A good rule of thumb for that is 50 miles. So that tire is built or made just to get you to a garage where they can service your tires. Well, I hope this was informational to you, and it's just a brief overview of how to change a tire. And thank you for watching.